Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to be ranking every single knife in my collection based on how good of a user I think it is. I'll ask everybody to keep in mind that this ranking system is based on my own personal preferences and my own experiences with these knives. If you disagree with the rank that I give a knife, it's probably because your preferences are at least slightly different than mine. But as per usual, feel free to aggressively ignore that logic and leave your angry comments right down below. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below as well. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. We're going to start off with the knives that I have actually carried and used. There are definitely knives in my collection that I don't, right? The Save Queens. We'll save those for the end, and then I'll give a separate sort of like guesstimate ranking for those. S is, of course, the best, right? A, then B, then C, then D, and then F for the worst. I've done separate ranking videos just based on sort of cool factor in my own, like how much I like the knife, how much of an emotional attachment I have to it. This is going to be based on, you know, actual use, which varies, right? Truthfully, I don't use any of my knives all that hard. So take what you will from this. It's mostly meant to be just fun. Let's start off here with the Urban EDC Supply F5.5. Yeah, I have been carrying and using this knife. Now, again, you know, if it's like, that doesn't look like it's been used, there's no dirt or scratches or twigs or, you know, there's no debris hanging out of the knife, right? I generally don't chop down evergreen trees with my knives, so you probably won't see that type of battle wear on it. Based on my experience with this guy, it's pretty good. There are a couple of little teeny tiny ergonomic things, right? If you want more details, you can find those details on the individual reviews of each knife, but this is pretty good. I'm going to be pretty harsh with this ranking system, by the way. I like this a lot. I'm going to put it in B. As we fill these out, if I run out of room, I'll edit it, move it out of the way. Let's switch it up here. Let's go with the, yeah, there we go. The Kershaw Blur. This was a knife that it was one of my first knives. Not this particular one. This is my wife's, but it was one of my first good pocket knives, and I like it a lot. I mean, now it's assisted. It kind of bothers me to have to push it back down, and I don't need an assisted knife, right? I can just push up on the thumb stud or the flipper, right? It's all right. It's okay. It's not my favorite thing in the whole world. I'm gonna give it a C, right? Moving on here, let's do how about the Baby Banter? I just recently got this one. Been enjoying carrying. This is kind of the knife that will be my dedicated travel knife. I like this knife a lot. It's a bit small. I think I probably prefer to carry it about as much as the Blur, right? If you want to understand kind of my logic behind these letters here, I don't ever do too much explanation, and that's just to keep the, but by that logic, right? Those types of comments. From S through C are all decent, right? C being the bottom of D. D and F are kind of, don't really like, there's not many redeeming quality. Like F would be, yikes. I own it because I think it's neat, but there's no way it would make a good user, right? It's one of those things. Let's jump into this guy here. Oh, the Tactile Knifeco Rockwall. Yeah, I have really, really enjoyed carrying this guy, right? There's not a huge emphasis on durability or cape. It's not like, you know, if a knife could be used as a grappling hook, would it get a higher rank? No, it's just normal. Like, imagine a normal guy just walking around doing normal things with a knife, right? I'm going to give that an A rank. I've actually very much enjoyed that. I like medium to medium large size knives. I don't like really big or XL knives. I don't like really teeny tiny knives, even though they have their place, right? So if a knife is on one extreme end or the other, it will, you know, it'll have to have some pretty special attributes for me to give it a good rank, right? Moving on here, let's see. Let's do, yeah. So this guy is only, now I've got my user, right? I've got two Ultratechs. This is an Ultratech 2, this is an Ultratech 1. There's literally no difference other than the tech string, right? So we'll just use one to represent. I very much enjoy carrying the Ultratech. I think it makes a fantastic EDC if you can legally carry knives like this. It's a bit It's a little bit sharp right here, so after a while, you know, it sort of gets cumbersome. It's pretty good. I'm gonna give that one a B rank as well. Moving on here. Let's do a crazy one. So this is definitely one of my favorite knives in my collection. This is the Microtech Stitch. So it's based on the Borka Stitch, like the custom. This is a huge, crazy automatic knife. And it fires super hard. It's very powerful, right? Thick, it's really aggressive, awesome. This is a fun knife for me to like sit around and just enjoy on my couch. There are so many reasons why I don't carry this one very much, and it's mainly because it's unbelievably cumbersome. And really, I like knives where I can, with one hand, like I can do that, but I'm working against the coil spring the whole time. I gotta be honest, I don't really like to carry and use this one. The thing that's keeping it out of F range is the fact that it is so ergonomically comfortable, and actually using it is fine. But there's more than just the actual cutting of things with a blade that makes something preferable to carry. You have to consider ease of disengagement and, you know, pocket cumbersomeness. That's right. So I like having the knife. I like owning it. I just don't really like carrying it, right? Let's see here. Let's do another one. Let's do the Microtech Socom Elite. I really like this knife. And I'll tell you what. The only thing keeping it out of A range, it's not perfect. It's pretty big, right? I love manipulating it. I mean, considering how big it is, it's fairly lightweight. But I hate that it is tip down carry. I know, tip down crowd, you're gonna be like, what? That's the the most heavily tactically advantageous pocket clip position. I don't care. I cannot tell you how little I care about tactical advantage. I hate tip down carry. It's very frustrating to me. So I'm gonna put that in B, but I still do like to carry it. Moving on here, should we do the Spyderco Shaman? Yeah. So the Spyderco Shaman is a big knife, and it's definitely a little bit heavy, a little bit. But I gotta say, as far as like my experience with the Shaman goes, and I could, you know, I'm using this one. I'm not using my custom one. I'll use this one to represent because it looks cooler. I haven't actually carried and used this one, but I do like this one. I do carry and use it. Well, that's not fair because this is titanium, right? So here, I just wanted to show this one again. But the one that I actually do carry and use, I can't tell you how good I feel about this in my pocket. These are, you know, super duper expensive now, and they're hard to get, but I'm still placing that in S rank, right? People are gonna get mad. How dare you put that in S rank? Those are so overpriced. Price, let me make this clear. The price on these knives, I already own them. They're mine. This is based on my preferences with my own collection, right? No part of me feels any responsibility to cater this to any individual watching this video. This is my rectangle here, right? I already own that. How much it costs has nothing to do with this ranking system. No, based on the knife itself, how much I enjoy carrying it. Moving on here, let's do one that's... So what's funny is, so this is the Strider and Medford 3/4 AR. This is an expensive knife, US made knife, hard to get now. These are the S90V variants from DLT Trading. I love this knife. I love to sit around on the couch and just sort of flick it around. But yeah, I do like to use this. I just generally clean it off afterwards. The problem is I think it's terrible. Like ergonomically, it's so uncomfortable. And I like it. I like to carry it, right? Because it's just fun. It doesn't have to be perfect for me to carry it. But the truth is, it just really, you know, it's a little bit more preferable than the Stitch, but it is so awkward and cumbersome and like sharp. It would be terrible to work with without gloves. It's fun. Just if I'm not doing anything serious, like if I have gloves, then fine, right? But I feel like there's always a better choice than the 3/4 AR. I just like it, right? Moving on here, a knife that I do carry and use a lot. By the way, The Roxted Higo2, this is a really expensive knife. This is a $1,500 knife. Let's just get that out of the way. Yes, I use it all the time. I've got videos of me using this. They're not hard to find. This 68 Rockwell ZDP is so hard that it really does a great job resisting scratching, right? I mean, like, if I were to cut cinder blocks and things with it, is it going to scratch it? Sure. But cutting things like wood and cardboard and rope and, you know, normal knife stuff, I mean, if you have ever considered buying one of these, I know it's not very many people, if you've ever considered buying it and using it and you're afraid that you're going to mark up that mirror finish, that ZDP is so hard. Cutting normal knife things will not scratch. It's so easy to clean this thing off. I love this knife. This is a wonderful, wonderful user. If I were ranking these by, you know, like value and how good I feel about the price, well, this wouldn't be nearly as high. But fortunately for me, right, and my enjoyment of this knife, that's not an element here, right? The pocket clip, which, as I always point out, leaves much to be desired aesthetically, but functionally, oh boy, it's good. Carbon fiber, titanium, and one of the best blades on the market for edge retention and just general function. Yeah, that's going to be an S-class knife. That's a wonderful, wonderful user. Moving on here, let's do a budget knife. Civivi Elementum. Yeah, I think this makes a great user in the most boring and general sense. Like, I know there's a lot of people who watch knife content and they just love the Civivi Elementum. It's a good user knife, but in the most boring way possible, in the most cater to everyone way possible. This is it's pretty good, right? I still, the thing that bothers me is not being able to, I have to really cram my fingers in there to get a full grip, but it's pretty good. It's right about here, right? Again, this does not mean I like my Elementum as much as I like my Socom Elite. No. I think it's about in the same ballpark as far as, comfortability and just preference when it comes to a knife I'm going to use. But there's a whole bunch of different reasons, right? I've got lots of different ranking videos, a whole bunch of different stuff that might make me like something more or less for whatever reason. Moving on here, another knife that I've actually carried and used. Yeah, let's talk about this guy. This is one of the biggest reasons that I enjoy the Les George VECP V3. It is such a simple, straightforward design, phosphor bronze. Nothing crazy, nothing that is really standing out as like spectacular design-wise in a 2022 knife world. One of the only things I don't like about this knife is the bill and the clip, but everything else is so good. Everything else is so good. I think people might be starting to kind of put together the types of knives that I enjoy carrying the most. That's an A-rank knife for sure. Moving on here, let's talk about the Benchmade Bug Out. And I want to make this clear because this is my... I hate the regular Bug Out. I hate it because I hate the plastic scales. There is no way I'm ever going to change my mind on that. I don't care. It's, but you could save an extra, between that and the titanium, you could get an extra ½ ounce. Don't care. The titanium is a must for me. It makes this knife feel substantially more solid, and it makes this thing excellent. Excellent, right? Everything that I don't like about the Bug Out goes out the window, which is basically how frail it feels. Now, do I understand that the base Bug Out is plenty durable factually? Yes. But I don't care because I want it to feel durable too, right? So I like the titanium. Truthfully, I think this is gonna go. Yeah, it's gonna be A. I still like my ultimate favorite users. I just want a little bit more, even if it's just perceived durability and not actual durability, right? It's sort of a mental subconscious preference thing, right? Moving on. Let's do, okay, so the Demco 8020 that I actually do carry and use sometimes, the G10 variant. I like this. It's pretty big, it's pretty bulky, but it's real. Everything that's I take a step back on in terms of like bulkiness, it makes up for in ease of manipulation. And the fact that this is fully ambidextrous. I do switch my hands sometimes depending on what I'm doing. And while this thing has not been put through its paces at all, right? People are going to aggressively ignore what I said about it. They're just going to complain about how little my knives look like they're used. And that's fine because that's the truth. They don't get used very much. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's not perfect. I like to carry it. It is a bit of a pocket hog, and it's a bit cumbersome, especially this bigger guy, right? So that's going to go in... It's going to go... I'm trying to think, because next we got to do this guy. So which do I actually like carrying more? This is hard because I'm thinking about the logic of these other ones here. Yeah, you know what? Both the 80-20 G10 and the 80-20, like, because I'm thinking, do I prefer to carry them more than these that like the joy of carrying and using them? No, you know what? This has got to go up here. And do I, by that same logic, yeah, no. The Bug Out stays. This guy's here. 80-20.5. I almost called it the Slim. The 80-20.5, the Taiwanese version. I actually prefer that one better. Why more than the Bug Out? Because I trust the spring in it more than I do the Omega springs, right? This has got all the same level of durability and then some, but I don't need that much, right? Kind of, that's, as far as like ultimate, like user, right? That's where it is. I feel good about this. This feels right. Moving on. We got to figure out something else for, let me pull something I think is about a C rank knife. Yeah. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense to people. No, I'm not. The XM18 is not a C rank. The XM18, we're just going to move this guy out of here. The XM18 3.5 inch, one of my favorite knives of all time. Not because of how user-friendly it is, but because I just enjoy all the different enthusiast elements, right? Now, this is a very good user knife, right? I mean, yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable to flip. It's an exposed frame lock, kind of a blocky design. But I love that you can, if you can actually get your hands on one, and all the parts that you want, you can essentially make your ultimate knife. You can make it your preference, right? The non-flippers especially, I mean, that's a solid B rank for me. Yeah, I think feel good about that. Make sure some of these are out of the way here. What's going to go into, yeah, okay, this is good for me. No, that's also not going to be, that also is not going to be right. Hold on. This guy, the Ontario Rat Model 2, is probably a B rank for me. Yeah. I like it. And you can get a full grip on it. You can even choke up on it. This is a very easy knife to carry and use. I still don't prefer it as much as something like this, but it's very good for sure. I know this is going to confuse people because your brain's going to go, you like the Rat 2 as much as you like your XM18. No. I like the XM18 way more. The emotional sort of enthusiast elements, right? But as far as like which one is like, as far as like carry preference, like how well it does as a user knife, if I take all of the emotion out of it, all of the enthusiast elements out of it, yeah, they're about the same, right? And then here's the other thing you guys got to keep in mind. It doesn't have to make sense. I can just make this whatever I want. This is a gut instinct thing, which I find interesting. This is the type of content I find. I want to see what people's gut instincts are. It's interesting to find that out. Moving on. Here we go. Let's talk about this guy. The Pro-Tec SNG, the Strider SNG. Now, the actual SNG, honestly, it would rank higher. There's two things that bother me, and some of the SNGs are like this. Number one, guys, like, to Strider knives and to people who like to carry them, like, this pocket clip position sucks. This is so bad. Look at this. That's ridiculous, right? Now, the performance ones, the ones that they have them way up higher like this, I think this guy actually, yeah. So where they do it like this, that makes way more sense, right? Tactical advantage, though. Oh, I don't care. This pocket clip position sucks, and it's better when they put it up here, right? Even they consider it more performance oriented, right? Because they call it a performance series clip, if I'm not mistaken. It's just like, which hole does it go in, right? So I do like, I think I'd like the manual Strider more. I like this guy, but again, with automatic knives, I don't like having to kind of take a bunch of extra mental effort to close it with one hand and then focus on that. Like, we'll just close it with two hands. Well, then I have to close it with, I want to close it with one hand, right? Pretty good. I still like it more than these guys, to be honest with you. Still do, because the it's super comfortable. This has those Strider ergos that just make it wonderful, right? So I think I'm probably going to rank that guy in C. I'm thinking here. Let's see. Okay, so this is gonna blow some people's minds, but I gotta be honest here. So this is an XM24. Now this particular XM24 is not a user, but for a long time before I started the channel, I bought an XM24. It was a Spanto with black G10, and I want to say it was S35VN. I carried that thing. I did my best to carry that and EDC it and just adapt to it, right? These suck for EDC. They absolutely are not good. I have not EDC'd an X, and people are going to tell me like, do you EDC mine every day and it's fine. That's fine if those are your preferences. I love the XM24. In fact, the knife that you're seeing right now is one of my most cherished knives in my collection. I love it. And a lot of people are going to say, I can't understand how you can love the knife itself, but not love it for how good or bad it is as a user. It's because my interest in the knife world, like many, like literally, I would say 80% of my subscribers, it comes from more than utility. It comes from a general interest in basically the final form that a knife takes, right? The XM24, I'm sure, is very purposeful in certain situations, but as an EDC knife, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's a cool knife to have in your collection. They're very valuable. They're extremely well made. And like I said, in some situations that I don't ever plan on finding myself in, the XM24 might be the best knife, right? For a very specific situation. But these suck. They're huge. I don't like EDCing them at all, right? I am one of the biggest Hinder fans you'll ever come across. I love the design. But as far as like carry and use, the XM18 3.5 inch is so much better than the XM24. These are just massively cumbersome. They're so thick and heavy and ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense to me for use. Just a little tiny bit of experience carrying this guy, the UTX 85. This is really good. It kind of has the same issue as the Ultratech in that it is sharp on the switch, so after what, it's kind of bothersome on your feet. Like the Guardian Tactical Recon 35 has a better switch, right? So still pretty good though. I like it. It's nice and small and not cumbersome, right? Let's see. The Eclipse. Or I'm sorry, not the Eclipse. So by the way, my Eclipse is not here. It's actually been sent off to a very close friend who wants to experience it, which is something that I only do with extremely close friends. But the 0392 can serve for both the ZT version and the Hinder Eclipse. This is a much more preferable carry as far as the Hinder line goes. This, and if you're wondering, the best designs for actual use and carry, in my opinion, are this and the Jurassic. And they're much more ergonomically comfortable. They've just gotten rid of the choil, so you just put your fingers right here. Pocket clip still digs into your hand a little bit, but it just makes a lot more sense. And the flipper tab is still hook shaped, but not nearly as crazy as on the XM18, right? So this makes a much better, in my opinion, a much better carry knife, and I like it about as much as I do some of these. Still internally, like the enthusiast in me still likes the XM18 3.5 inch all the way around better than, but as far as like which one makes for a better user experience, the Eclipse or the ZTO 392 or Like the 0393 is fairly similar as well. Let's see, what else? What else? CJRB Rhea. I like this one. This is my dedicated travel knife. It's pretty good. I still like to carry a bit more of a knife, right? This is not a knife that I'd be like, I'm going to go out and, if I had to, like, you know, cut some thick strap off of a flatbed because it got stuck and we have to release the, you know, the contents of the truck. Oh no, help, does someone have a blade? This is not the knife that I'd want to do that with. Not that I find myself in that scenario very often, but it's kind of like, you know, when you pick a knife, you think like, what am I going to be able to do with this knife today, right? So this was my dedicated travel knife because it's like, I just want a pocket knife. I'm traveling with it, right? So it makes a great user. I just think that everything above it, you know, there are better qualities in a lot of the knives that are above this in rank, right? Let's put this up here. What's next? Let's talk about this guy. This is a gift from my wife. The only thing that I don't like about this knife, and this is a Delica, by the way. I mean, it's a titanium Delica, and it's Sanmai Damascus, right? The only thing I don't like about it is that it's a lockback. And a lot of people are going to say, that's blasphemy. Lockbacks are the best. Here's why I don't like them. Because I like to close my knife with one hand. You have to do this extra, right? Here, open, and you have to readjust, push down, give it a wiggle, and then you got to turn it, and then you got to close it, and then, right? Bam, bam. That's it, right? Lockback, folks. This is why I don't like lockbacks. Open, close. It's just too slow. And I've dropped it too many times. Still like it, though. Still like it. That's the one thing. If this Delica was a compression lock or something, or maybe even like a cage lock, it'd be ranked higher. But it isn't, right? So that's, you know. I like to carry this knife when I go on dates with my wife, right? Like that's kind of like a dinner. I enjoy it, right? When I'm not worried about tactical speed. that's kind of how I feel about that. Moving on here. Spyderco Para 3 Automatic S. Spyderco Para 3 is such an amazing user. This is so good. I know this is modded, right? Somebody pointed out when I put this in the best designs of all time, they were like, he said it's the best design, but it's got RGT scales and it's got a different clip. And okay, yeah, I modded mine. But even without the modifications, this knife is incredible. It is incredible, right? I don't like that the stock clip is below the lanyard hole, right? And honestly, I don't mind the stock ergonomic lines. The RGT scales just look cool, and these were sent to me by DLT. So I put them on there, and I thought, hey, that looks nice. But I never had an issue with the ergonomic line. So just to be clear, yeah. But that's just, you know, complaints to complain. The Para 3, whatever form it takes, right? What if I have the lightweight one? It's S rank. What if it's titanium? S rank. The Para 3 is an S rank knife user. How about this? The Altus by Civivi. Not an expensive knife. What are these? $72? Button lock, G10 and steel. Yeah, I really, really like the Altus for so many reasons, and I'm gonna put it right about here. That's how I feel about that. Spyderco PM2. I gotta be honest with you, about the same. It's just a little bit too much knife. Like, it's everything that I love about the Para 3. Like, the Para 3 can do everything the Spyderco, except, like, oh no, you can't, I'm missing, you know, half an inch of cut. For me, for some people that's gonna matter, the half an inch of cutting edge. For me, it doesn't really matter all that much. It's too much knife for what I do day to day, right? If I'm gonna compare it with the Para 3, there's nothing more redeeming here, right? It's just unnecessary extra, stuff to carry around, but it's still very good as a user, the PM2, for sure. Let's see. Ontario Rat 2. So this is like my, you know, I haven't cleaned this one off because it gets used outside so often for just whatever. This is the knife that I go to. Like if I'm going to go outside and I know that my pocket knife is going to get abused, of course, I'm not going to grab an expensive knife. I don't care what it was made for, right? It's my stuff. I paid for it. If I don't want to damage it, that's my business. This knife, right? That sounds so salty. Yeah, I'm very used to, I'm very like, I've seen every type of comment, right? I know what types of comments are going to come in. But it's mainly, it's just for fun. This knife gets beat up a lot, right? So this is kind of a go-to for me. Pocket clip position, it's okay, right? Ease of manipulation is pretty good. It's all the way around, it's pretty good. It's probably, yeah, it's probably here. That's probably where I'm going to put it. Yeah, I think that feels right. Let's see. How about the Benchmade Mini Crooked River? Yeah, this is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. If it weren't for those Omega springs, right? If all Benchmades had that coil spring that the Anthem has. The Anthem, if you don't know, has the axis lock, but it does not operate on Omega springs. It operates on a coil spring, which I trust a lot more. In any case, though, this would be, if it had that coil spring, that and so many other axis lock style knives would be S rank, but they're not. The fact that it's ambidextrous makes it awesome, but that the Omega springs are keeping it right about. They're fine. I've never had an Omega spring break, by the way. You hear about it more often than other things, right? So that's going to be A rank right there. Let's see. This guy right here, another gift from my wife. I like to carry this one again on dinner dates and things like that. It's pretty good. It's small, but I can still get a full purchase on it. It's also, now that I've had it for so long, is very, very easy to manipulate, and the action is very good on it as well. Nothing has ever, you know, kind of come out of whack. It looks like maybe it's just ever so slightly over to this side. That's weird. But yeah, I do like most things about this knife. I wish it was just a little bit bigger, but this has been pretty good to me. As far as how good of a user it makes, it's probably right about. Do I like it more? It's probably about this. It's probably about B. That's about where I feel. You're not explaining your reasoning well enough. I'm not going to. Gut instinct, right? This isn't always going to make sense. It's just not. Let's see. Moving on. What's next? As far as knives I've used out of my... Oh, we got to do the Recon 40 because I do carry this periodically. And we have to do the Scarab. So Recon 40, super convenient, right? Super duper convenient. I do actually like this, even though it's huge, I like it more than this little tiny Ultra UTX 85, because that's almost so small that it makes manipulating the switch even harder. I'm going to say I probably like carrying the Recon 40 about as much as I do the XM18 and some of these other knives, right about in here. Yeah, that feels good. Scarab. Also huge and bulky. It's just slightly more... Now, I don't carry this Scarab. I carried my old Scarab. This thing attracts the blue stuff from the container here more than any other knife in my collection. It just does. It's an awesome knife. It's not that hard to manipulate. It's just I got a tighter, you know, the switch is a little bit harder to actuate than on the Recon 40, and it's also big. So now, you know, people are saying, but you've got the CJRB in C rank, and it's a small knife. It's everything together, right? Preferences. Sometimes knives that are too small for the design make it just as undesirable to carry as something that might feel too big for this reason or that reason, right? It's just everything together How enjoyable is the experience of using and carrying it? Carrying and using it, right? Okay, what do we have left here? We need to do, is there really, there's only 2 more over here? This guy right here. The Tough Light, Cold Steel Tough Light. This is awesome. I have done so much with this knife, and if Cold Steel or whoever they are now made a version of this with some type of, I understand it's the Triad Lock, right? And this, it's like, when I see the Triad Lock and some massive, like, hulking monstrosity of a knife, I'm like, that's so overkill and ridiculous. Like, I get it, it's cool, but it's so overkill. A Triad Lock of this size makes a lot of sense because you're getting so much strength for the amount of weight and the amount of, usable cutting edge you're getting, right? The only disadvantage to this thing is, number 1, the Triad Lock, you have to do this crap, which I hate. And number 2, on this knife, you don't have an enormous amount of cutting edge. Most people are going to be able to get by with this. It is very, very good, though. Extreme. I can't tell you, as far as like you cost to utility ratio, this is excellent. The other thing that sucks, it's tip down carry, right? I still don't prefer it as much as the A rank knives, but it's very, very good. It's for, what is it, $30, something like that. Last but not least, Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. Yeah. This is wonderful. This is one of those knives where the design is just so good, the value is so good, right? But this isn't about value, it's about, user experience. Excellent. Not quite S. Again, had, Hogue designed their Able lock with a coil spring and a peg, like the Benchmade Anthem, then my God, it would be an unstoppable monster. So I think that is, let me look here. That's everything. That's all the folding knives in my collection that I currently own, that I actually carry and use, or have actually carried and used a version of in the past. You know what? We have to do one more. I'm so dumb. So I used to own one of the older Evo Typhoons. This is my newer one, the one from 2019. This particular knife does not get carried and used. But the one, I had one coming in, I had this coming in, and I thought, I just want to own one. I want to own like a user version of it, and I should have never, ever, ever gotten rid of it. Because it was one of the best users ever. This knife is absolutely, without question, is an S rank user. That is a fantastic user knife. Absolutely love it. Okay. Let me look through here. Let me make sure that we've gotten through everything that I've actually carried and used. At least enough to weigh in on it. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear the board, and then I'm going to go through the stuff, my safe queens, that I don't use, and just estimate based on all of the experience I have with knives, how I think it would rank. Okay, we're back. Let's start off here with the brand new Microtech and Reich Socom Bravo. Much better clip position. Unfortunately, they're like, we still need that lanyard hole up there. It has to be prioritized. Yikes. The blade is a little bit heavier. A little bit, I want to say, it's not clunkier. It's just, we have this big, thick, exposed frame lock, and then we have, the edge is going to be a bit thicker, right? All things that I'm going to consider when I'm using it. I love this. As a collector and enthusiast, I enjoy this knife for reasons, that I cannot enjoy the American Socom Elite, which is a different model. Not just because it's made in the United States, but because it's literally the Elite and this is the Bravo, right? 2 different models, even when the Bravo was being made in the United States. If you didn't know that, yeah, Microtech used to make the Bravo in the US. It was a custom and it was over $1,000. But anyways, yeah, there are things that make me like this more than the Socom Elite, but none of them are really utilitarian reasons. So, yeah, I'm going to put that at C. Yeah. Moving on, let's see. I could do, it's dimensionally different. It's weird enough. The Demco 8020 Titanium is dimensionally different. It's a bit thinner. I've never actually carried it, but it is just a little bit. You can see there it's just a little bit thinner. I don't know. Honestly, I'd probably enjoy carrying it almost exactly as much. The Vero Isotope. I bet it'd be pretty good. I really don't like the pocket clip. You know what I forgot to do? Just realized. This Vero Synapse XL actually does get carried periodically. Synapse XL. I said that weird, sorry. And it's actually a really good carry. Again, the reason I know I don't like the clip is because I, have carried this thing. It's too long. But it's pretty good. It's actually, overall, it's actually a really great experience. It's not incredible, but it's probably about right here. And honestly, that's probably about where I'd put the Isotope, right? Yeah, it's an integral. It's a slightly slimmer, but overall, it's going to take up almost exactly the same room as the Synapse XL. Let's see. The Dirac Delta, I would imagine this would be an incredible experience as a user. It has my preference for the face switch. It's a little thinner than a lot of OTFs. The face switch is actually very easy to manipulate. The Microtech clips suck. I hate them. I also don't need a glass breaker. I bet it'd probably be about right there. That's probably where it'd be. The smock, weird enough, I've not carried the smock. And this is a Blade HQ exclusive. I'm never gonna use this one. Mainly because it's not because I'm like, I have more expensive knives that I use. I've got so many knives, right? And this was a special edition, so I'm just gonna keep it the way that it is. I bet this would be a fantastic carry knife. There's nothing there that quite makes me feel like it's gonna be S rank, but I feel like it would be really good. This guy has gone in my pocket just a couple of times, and I honestly couldn't bring myself to say, like, yeah, I've used it enough to where I'd know. But there are so many things that make this is kind of like the same type of deal as like with the 3/4 AR. It is so pointy and ridiculous, and I'm sure I'd adapt to it. But as far as like other experiences that I've had with knives, no. It's not a comfortable knife to hold, right? It's fun to play with and mess around with, but it's just not a comfortable knife to hold. Moving on here. What should we do next? Yeah. This guy right here. That's going to be the CKF FIF 20. The fact that it's got this line, like, this is a ridiculously fantastic knife. The action and ease of manipulation, the fact that it's a liner lock, easy to carry, the whole design is just wonderful. That's an S-rank knife. And speaking of S-rank knives, I can't put that one there without including the new Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. Oh my God. The review's coming, guys, but spoiler alert. Yeah, that's another S-rank knife. Moving on. So this, the Varga VBR is a lot like a contoured XM18 with a bolster lock and a flipper tab that's nowhere near as aggressive. I still, as far as like, the enthusiast collector, I still like my XM18 overall more, but I think the Varga would probably make a better user. Don't think I'd like it quite as much as some of them, which is crazy because those are front flippers. They're front flipper only, right? They're that good. The other elements there, right? But this is pretty good. These, alongside the profile of them, really, really good. Pro-Tec Godfather. Not a super difficult knife to carry. I think the pocket clip is too long. The knife itself, not a difficult knife to carry. It's just freaking huge. And I don't know, like, I love the blue on this one, but as far as like the tip goes, every now and then I've got to do something with a knife where I'm like, it's not really a knife test, but the tip it'll probably survive. Something I wouldn't want to do with this guy. So I'm going to put it down here. It's mainly because the tip, I love the knife. The tip is just very, very delicate. Let's see. I forgot about this one. I actually did carry and use. That thing fires so hard. I don't know what it is about the Pro-Tec Invictus. Same designer before somebody says it. Yeah, it's Prometheus Design Works, right? So the guys like where you're seeing the Terrain 365 Invictus in Terravantium, yeah, that's PDW or Prometheus Design Works, which is again the Invictus. That too is a collaboration, not an original design. The original came from Prometheus Design Works, and it was called the Invictus, right? So this is just another collab version of the Invictus. This makes a great user. The only downside is, once again, it's an automatic knife. So if you want to close it with one hand, which is a big deal to me, you got to really focus on it, right? So it's better than the other automatics. The size makes more sense. I think it's definitely more durable at the tip than this guy. Yeah, I'm going to put it about B. What else do we have here? What else do we have? Let me look through. Yeah, this guy. This was another gift from my wife. This is the Combat Troodon Hellhound blade. This has made it into my pocket a couple of times, but not enough to where I can honestly say that I've like used it, right? It's pretty big, and it's like not nearly as comfortable to deploy as the Recon 40. Also, that blade would suck. Like, this is something I haven't talked about. The reason I don't own a lot of Tantos is because when I go to use them and they get beat up, they suck to sharpen, right? So we have a straight edge and then a different angle and then like a rounded end of the right? I don't want to mess around with sharpening that. Honestly, love the knife. Would not, that specific configuration. Maybe a drop point, I'd put it up here, but this specific configuration, I'd put it down here. Right. We only have a few left. How about the Quantum? Yeah, that's a really nice, Shirogorov Quantum, really nice titanium frame lock. Lightweight for the amount of, especially for the amount of blade you get. This is a Gen 1, by the way. Pocket clip, excellent. Everything about this knife is excellent. We're going to put the Quantum here in the A rank, right? If it were countersunk liner lock, right? Just for that specific design, I might rank it a bit higher. How about the Sharp by Design Arch Nemesis? If there ever was a folding dagger that was tough, it'd be this thing, because the blade stock thickness is about 185 thousandths, right? It's actually fairly thick out of the tip for a dagger. There's quite a bit of meat out there. This is also huge, and the main thing that would bother me, outside of the fact that it's horribly expensive and very hard to get, is the fact that I would forget which side I'm flipping it on, right? The lock side needs to be down, and it can only flip from this side, right? And then you also have to you can't touch the blade. You don't want to like touch the blade putting it back in, so you have to use that. Probably not going to make the best user. It's really cool, but there's a lot of it's definitely more comfortable. Like if I had to hold on to a knife and cut for a long period of time, even if that blade would do a better job, the handle on this thing sucks. Same with this guy, right? I'm probably still going to put it at about C. There are things that would make that better, but the blade itself is not super thin behind the edge because it's a dagger blade, right? It's huge. There's a couple of worries there, right? Super cool knife. One of my favorite knives in my collection. In fact, probably, honestly, this is probably my favorite knife in my collection from a user standpoint. And commenting on the design, which I've done many times, Brian Nadeau is a genius designer. It's not like he was sitting around going, I'm gonna try to design the ultimate user experience knife that caters to everybody. No, he sat down and thought, I want to make an awesome, ridiculous folding dagger that would work if you tried to use it, but it's more so just like, you know, this awesome, just really, really cool piece, right? Well, mission accomplished. As far as user preferences go, though, no, I have different preferences. How about the Dragonfly? Yeah, you know what? This, while it's the biggest knife in Herman's, and this is, if you're wondering, it's definitely my most expensive knife. This is Timascus and Damacor, right? But let's say it was just titanium and M390, which they do make. They do make a plain version of this. This is a countersunk liner lock, fully flat ground blade. While it is a fairly large knife, it's definitely the biggest knife that Herman makes. it's not like a massive, you know, knife. It's not absolutely huge. Truthfully, I think carrying and using this would be excellent. I think the pocket clip's a bit long. I really think they should come back and cut it off at about, you know, right here, so it's not right in the middle of your hand. But it is flat, right? So many, the ergonomic lines here, so good. Very easy to hang on to, just wonderful. That's gonna be up here in the S class. Let me look over, make sure, because I think I've got at least one more. Got through these, this. Yeah, the last one. I think you guys know what it is. Sugargraph F3. Yeah, I mean, this is the design I said was the greatest. This was like the greatest folding knife design of all time. Yeah, this is, as far as everything that I've got, part of why I gave this the rank of greatest folding knife of all time is not only does it look beautiful, not only is it, you know, one of the highest quality production knives that exists, it's also essentially the ultimate user, right? But it's got proprietary hardware. This isn't proprietary. This can be adjusted with a coin, a flathead screwdriver, a few credit cards taped together and then sanded down to be in the shape of a screwdriver. This can be adjusted. It's incredibly minimal hardware, durable materials, countersunk titanium liner lock, fully flat ground, or not fully, but nearly fully flat ground M390 blade. This is the ultimate user, right? Even though it only has one means of deployment and it is a flipper, for me, that's fine because the flipper works perfectly. There is no optimal means of deployment in my book. It just works better or worse for the design. And the flipper tab on this guy works perfectly for the design of this knife and is not a cumbersome flipper tab. So this guy is also going to be moved up into the S tier, and we'll go ahead and move that. Right, do I need to move this just a little bit more? Yeah. I'm very tempted to get another F3 NS just so I can carry and use one. That would be my, right? These are all guesses. Just want to be clear because I've never actually carried these. It's just the way that it is. If you collect knives, if you collect a lot of knives, you know what, you know. Some people who collect knives, they use them all, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want. But, you know, since I paid for all this stuff, I have my preferences in what I will and won't use for my own reasons. But this is how I'd rank these knives, if my best guess on how I'd rank them by usage. So, anyways, this was just meant for general entertainment, and I hope that you were at least mildly entertained. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.